Well, guys, I guess the best thing for me to do here is read through this. This is a message from Kvax, who's the community manager for World of Warcraft at Blizzard. And this, I guess, is in response to the overwhelming number of people that are absolutely disgusted with the fact that the WoW token is in Wrath Classic. I, for one, am one of those people. I cannot believe. Actually, you know what? I can believe it because Blizzard is just that type of a company. I'm gonna tell you what. Right now, I haven't read this yet, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be just a PR BS spiel of nonsense to cover up the whole fact that all they're looking for is revenue. And they're probably going to give some BS excuses as to why they're doing it. So we'll go through. It looks like they've already got 105 responses. This just came out a couple of hours ago. Oh my gosh, it's long. So it's a long spiel of garbage. And then there's a whole bunch of responses. So let me try and go through this as best as we can, and then I'll make comments as we go along. Greetings. We want to take a moment to talk about the WoW token Wrath of the Lich King Classic. The best way to start is to simply say that this wasn't something that we arrived at lightly. I bet you looked at it as, how can we get more revenue out of this game? That's exactly what you were thinking. Don't BS us. I can already tell that this is going to be a point-for-point, message of how can we BS them into believing that we're actually trying to do what's best for the community, when in fact what you're actually doing is doing nothing by spending no money and putting something into the game that will actually generate you more money. Because that's exactly what you're doing. For the entirety of Classic so far, the WoW Classic team has been very resistant to the idea of adding WoW token to any form of Classic in the Western regions, North America and EU. When WoW Classic started in 2019, adding something like the token felt unimaginable to us, and that continued to be true for us even late into Burning Crusade Classic for a few reasons. Okay, first of all, let me put it very bluntly. One of the major reasons why you didn't add the token in Classic is because there was an absolute uproar in the Classic community. So there were content creators everywhere was basically saying, all of us were saying, you cannot have this in the game. And I bet you saw that uproar and you were like, okay, we can't do that now. Much like the uproar that you're seeing here. I haven't seen many people, actually I haven't seen anyone say, hey, yeah, this is a great idea. And sure, Blizzard's doing this to combat bots, because it doesn't combat bots. The bots are going to keep going. And guess what? The prices on G2G are just going to fall further and further down. That's all that's going to happen. So all you're doing is getting your greedy little fingers in on the revenue. Just at least don't treat us like idiots and admit that. We'll continue. In Vanilla WoW, the scarcity of gold is a major factor in how you approach your journey in Azeroth. From saving to get your first mount at 40 to picking and choosing which skills you want to learn while leveling so you could afford a new weapon or piece of armor. Later on at level 60, some form of time investment is needed to maintain a character in an ecosystem where flasks, resistance potions, and elixirs are such a major part of the game. The resources are scarce and highly contested. This was true all the way through Burning Crusade, where potions and flasks could represent a significant weekly expansion, and the resources required to make them were still quite difficult to obtain. It just didn't feel classic. It felt jarring, out of place, and was antithetical to what most of us wanted to relive about all those those early years of WoW. Okay, first of all, back then when Classic came out, you did nothing about bots then. And I did see something down below where you're going to preach to us about how many bot accounts you guys have banned and stuff like that, but we'll get to that. But you guys did literally nothing that would cost any money whatsoever. We've been begging you for you to have game GMs again that would make it very easy for them to actually ban accounts on the spot for doing exactly what is so blatantly obvious to all of us. You could have one person probably scan through, 10 servers and just sit there with characters outside of places that are popular for boosting with bots, Scarlet Monastery, Moradon, etc., and just immediately ban legit bot accounts. It is very easy to point them out. When you see 5 or 10 or 20 DKs whatever running in one direction and following like in a perfect line, it's pretty obvious that boom, that's 20 accounts you could very quickly take care of. And you don't do any of this. We'll continue. However, what we want to do from a design perspective and what we need to do for the good of the community aren't always aligned. Let me read that again. However, what we want to do from a design perspective and what we need to do for the good of the community aren't always aligned. Of course not. Because you know what is good for the community is not to have the WoW token, because like it's only specifically good for people that are doing GDKPs. I'll get to more of that later. What we want to do from a design perspective, keep that in mind, folks, when you're reading that. What they want to do from a design perspective is generate as much revenue as possible. So that is exactly what is not aligned with what is good for the community. They're basically blatantly admitting it right here. What we want to do from a design perspective. In other words, milk as much money out of you as possible. And this is one of the more difficult things about maintaining a large online game like Wrath Classic. When we really looked at the stage of things in Wrath Classic and how different players approach the game, we saw that we cannot cause the demand for gold to be lower. The impact of illicit RMT is beyond just buying gold. It's the entire black market that revolves around gold sales. The concept of bots gets thrown around a lot. Of course it gets thrown around a lot. We see them everywhere. Like, you know how many bot accounts I've like myself reported? And there's been times where I'll report a bot and then like a week later I'll be told that something's been done. I'll get an email or whatever, in-game mail saying that something's been done about this account, and I'll go back to that exact same area where I saw that bot farming, and it's still there, like nothing happened. Anyways, the impact of illicit RMT is just beyond buying gold. It's the entire black market revolves around gold sales. The concept of bots gets thrown around a lot. It's compromised accounts, credit card fraud, scams, hacked clients, and the tools that illicit third parties use to fuel the engine that is the RMT trade. We all know that there's credit card fraud, scams, hacked, all that sort of stuff. Like that's all fine and dandy. What we're complaining about is that nothing is being done. Like no real effort is actually being done to ban these accounts. It is so easy for me to log into game and look at certain dungeons and find out where the bots are actually farming gold, and to just go in and sit there and I wouldn't be able to do it, but a proper GM, remember we talked about that earlier, but a GM would be able to sit there and analyze, is this a bot? Yes, this is a bot. Boom, done. Is this a bot? Yes. You can see like there's 50 DKs in one instance, and all they're doing is doing the same instance over and over and over again. It's amazing how much you cater to these bots. You change things within the game to allow bots themselves to actually farm gold easier. For example, like when we used to only be able to run 5 instances per hour or whatever it was, you suddenly change that, allowing bots to actually run more instances per hour. Like it is absolutely like, and there's so many other changes as well. Like it's literally like you're trying to cater to these bots. And we never see any proof that you're actually banning these accounts. There's no numbers anywhere. We don't know how many accounts you guys are actually running. Like, there's no proof. You're just throwing a number out there as far as we're concerned. But we don't actually notice any change in the game. And oddly enough, when you mention that you banned whatever, over 100,000 accounts or whatever, there's no change in the price of gold on G2G. Now, I don't buy gold, but I look at the price on G2G and it's like, you know what? They just banned 120,000 accounts, and the price of gold is still the same yesterday as it was today, as it was. Like the supply should have drained out, right? And it's not. So I find it hard to believe that you're actually doing anything. Anyways, unfortunately, in the history of WoW, the people perpetrating this illicit trade have also never been better at coming up with new methods, schemes, farms, and exploits to work around our efforts. As much engineering and analytics effort as we put into this illicit RMT workshop, put the same amount in. Hold on. As much engineering and analytics effort as we put into this, illicit RMT workshops put the same amount in or more, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of these workshops out there, all working around the clock to develop new technologies, new techniques to counter our technologies and techniques. It's an arms race and it never ends. I mean, there's again, I'm not a computer programmer or anything like that, but when it's like pretty clear that they're able to make their characters fly and stuff like that, you should be able to stop them from being able to do that. Like, how many of these bots do we just see, kind of take off up in the air and go into an instance and just farm, and just farm in like an entire instance and not get hit? You would think that your team of developers would be able to stop that. So I don't feel like you're even trying. And again, if you're not going to put in the effort there, you could hire some, maybe 10 full-time in-game GMs to sit in these instances and watch these people that are doing it, because they're farming gold. They're also selling boosting services, which people are paying gold for with gold that they bought. So then they give the gold just immediately right back to those bot companies, who then just resell it. And you guys aren't stopping it anywhere in the middle. That's the problem. Like, you guys make no effort to actually nip it at some point where the cycle can't keep continuing. We will never complete bots. You definitely won't complete. You will definitely never beat bots if you're not even trying. Let's be honest. From the customer's point of view, you're not trying. And until you get some GMs in the game, you're not trying. You could do something maybe with some community members or something like that. There's lots of people that they would take on a base salary, base wage, whatever it is, just to help combat this. And you could show them how to. I mean, that's how you guys used to do it back in the day. A lot of your GMs were people that were players of the game. Just allow them to go in and find out which bots are what accounts are actually bots, and eliminate them. I can't believe this. We will never completely beat bots. Of course not. You're not even trying to. It's an unwinnable war, especially if you're not trying. As long as there is money to be made by third parties, the ubiquitous nature of this type of thing in online games is an objective fact. It has always been part of WoW and every other popular online game for the past 25 years, and it will always be part of online games going forward. It's frustrating to fight this fight. You're not fighting the fight. That's what we're saying. You're basically saying, you know what, why not? If you can't beat them, join them. That's literally exactly what you're doing here. But we will not stop fighting it. You have not even started the fight, and you're basically saying, hey, how can we get our piece as well? Well, we can't completely win the war. Of course not. What we can do is mitigate the impact it has on the game. So you mitigate the impact it has on the game by flooding in, by allowing more gold to be bought. Before, you only had gold being bought by players that were buying it from these illegal companies or these illicit companies or whatever. Now you're offering a legal way for people to do it. So now people that want to do it legally, like the other group of people, now they're all going to be able to get gold. So those of us that are playing the game and not buying gold at all, what are we supposed to do? Now suddenly we're even further behind, because we've got people on side A that are buying it from G2G, and now we've got people on side B that are buying it from Blizzard. And those of us in the middle that aren't buying gold, you get my point. Where did I leave off here? What we can do is mitigate the impact as a name. No, is WoW token the end all be all to solve this? No, but it is a tool. It's a tool for you to make more revenue. That is it. And all you're doing is encouraging more gold purchasing in the game by people that weren't already actually buying gold. It's just now I'm not even buying gold. I'm paying for a WoW subscription, and now if I want to compete for items that are being jacked up in price because now all these other, now suddenly I'm now suddenly I don't maybe have enough gold. Now I've got to buy gold as well. I'm already paying you for several accounts a month, And now I'm like, well, now I might be short gold. I might have to buy gold as well. Like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. It's just one tool, though, among many to make more revenue, such as other in-store items. Like the boosting service. Don't even get me started on that. There is clearly a demand for gold for certain types of players. GDKP for sure. And that demand is only increasing. So, of course, that demand increasing means Blizzard's got to get in on this and get more revenue, right? I mean, we've got to bring... Hold on. I can imagine the boardroom meeting here. Guys, how do we get in on this? That's all you were thinking. So we are engaging a tool that we've used before to help mitigate the impact that illicit RMT has on the game. The more tools we employ and the less lucrative we can make it for third parties to do what they do to make a profit, the less likely it is that new malicious actors enter the illicit RMT scene. Okay, first of all, bots will still continue to run regardless of whether you bring in another source to pay for gold anyways. The bots will always be there. Why? Because you're not doing nearly enough. You don't actually have people nipping them in the butt right where they're actually farming. And you could easily do it with the number of servers that you have with a small team of people that are just going in there and just banning bots. Like, that is like 90% of their job. Where are we here? The more tools we employ and the less lucrative we can make it third parties to do with it, and the more likely that existing malicious actors will exit the business. Why? Why would they? Why would I? If I was an illicit bot company and you suddenly came along and said, you know what, we're not going to do anything about it. Why would I stop? Why would these illicit companies stop? Ultimately, it's taking incremental steps and using the multitude of tools that will reduce how impactful these third parties will be in Wrath Classic and beyond. Wrath design and the value of gold. Okay, are we like... Okay, we're over halfway done. Circling... This post is such garbage. Circling back to what was mentioned earlier about why token feels like a tool that we should employ now. Okay, here he's circling back to what he said before. We have to look at the base design of Wrathful Lich King. Ultimately, this is what convinced us to reconsider WoW token after resisting and refusing this path for so long. In Wrath Classic, your normally weekly activities are, for the most part, self-sustaining. Buying potions, flasks, reagents, and other normal necessities of endgame can be subsidized entirely by mostly just playing the game normally. Then why bring in a way to buy more gold? If your weekly activities are basically self-sustaining by doing stuff like raiding and stuff like that, or dailies or whatever, then why bring in a new method to buy gold? You don't need it if it's self-sustaining. Like, you literally don't need it, but you want to get in on a piece of the action. Doing your usual weekly raid, a few dungeons and a few dailies a week will net you even the most fervent and well-prepared characters more gold than they would need to maintain themselves. Simply put, gold is more plentiful, and the base design of Wrath minimizes the focus on needing to farm and to support your play. Then why bring it in? Why bring in the token? Like, literally, you've just said that we don't need it. People don't need more gold. So why bring it in? When we considered that, we realized that the introduction of the WoW token wouldn't be a temptation for most regular players to buy to help support their usual everyday gameplay. It's simply not impactful to the average player who logs in. Then why put it in? Raids a few days a week with their guild, does a few dungeons and dailies, and then plays other games in between those activities. There's no friction in that player's experience that would tempt them to buy a token just to keep themselves afloat. Then why bring it in? If the average player doesn't really need it, then why bring it in? I go through potions and flasks like as much as any hardcore player does. Literally. I at this point, I don't need a lot of gold. Okay, but now instead of having, now with you giving people a legit way to actually buy gold, and those people will, which gives you revenue. We didn't forget that part, did we? Did we forget that part, that you're going to get more revenue out of this? With that being said, people that were not buying gold from G2G will possibly now buy it from you, and that's going to drive the prices up of items. So people like me who are not buying gold, and other people who are not buying gold and who are using these regular in-game mechanics or dailies, raids, whatever, to make gold, now suddenly they're like, oh, wait a second, my flask is now suddenly 4 times the price of what it used to be. Instead of being 10 gold, now it's 40. Because the price is going up, because people have a lot more gold. That's how it works. But guess what? I'm not making any more money from doing a couple of dailies or doing my raids every week. I'm going to fall further and further behind. And guess what? It puts the squeeze on players like me who, I mean, I play a lot, so I've got a bit of gold, but your average player is not going to have a lot of gold. And guess what they're going to have to do? They're going to either have to farm a heck of a lot more, do a heck of a lot more dailies to try and keep up, and that's not fun. Or, as you probably guessed, they're probably going to have to buy a WoW token. Better visibility into exploitative account actions. As mentioned earlier, we need to improve the visibility around what we do. Okay, sure. Show us your exact account sub number all the time. All the time. So, you know, and prove that it's actually accurate. So that when you ban, hold on, I thought it was like 120,000 accounts or something like that. Anyways, so when you ban a bunch of accounts, we can actually see that. But you won't do that. You know why? Because you guys are actually scared that people actually see how many accounts you guys actually have. Because when your expansions come out, your accounts go up for about a month. People realize how garbage your expansion is, and then a month later, everyone's quit. That's why you look at Twitch, and you look down all the lists of people that have, people that are streaming. The most popular streams are the ones that are playing hardcore. People aren't watching aside from the Race to World First, there's very few people that are actually watching your Dragonflight, because nobody cares, dude. We posted some weeks ago that we banned over 120,000 malicious accounts in World of Warcraft alone in a large wave. But those large waves that we talk about are actually a very small portion of the overall actions that we take on a week-over-week basis. So when you banned these 120,000 accounts, I actually went and looked at the price of gold on G2G, and I kind of kept looking for several days like afterwards, and price of gold didn't change. Price of gold didn't change. So I really, honestly, I don't see any proof that you guys have actually done this, other than you guys probably post for PR reasons that you banned 120,000 accounts without actually having any proof. Let's see. But those are large waves that we talk about and are actually a very small portion of what the overall. Using just the past 2 weeks as an example, here are the actions our GSO team have taken. Total exploitative BattleNet account closures, 248,000 some change. Total World of Warcraft account closures, 73,057. This is in, the past 2 weeks. 73,000 accounts. Does anyone actually believe that? I don't. I literally don't believe this at all. Because, honestly, I'd like to know how many are in this GSO team. I bet if there is actually a GSO team, it's like one person. What they need to do is hire like 10. I mean, let's start off small, okay? Let's just admit that Blizzard isn't actually going to spend any money on customer service. Let's start off with maybe 10 people to cover all of their servers. I can't guess how many servers there are for classic World of Warcraft right now. But let's say it's I don't know, 40 on each, so 80, 40 on NA, 40 on, I don't even think it's that much. Let's just say to make it easy, it's 50 servers, okay? 50 servers, they hire 10 people, that's 2 servers per person. They can spend 1 hour of their day at Moradon just watching the bots that are there, and then 1 hour a day at Scarlet Monastery, whatever, and put in whatever other boosting methods that they do, and you just immediately, like at the end of the day, just put in all the names, boom, their accounts are banned, and those are actually active accounts that are actually on site in game and causing the problem that we want to see gotten rid of. And then when people actually report bots, you can then use a different monitor, different account to actually go over and analyze or watch the account that is being accused of being botting, and then eliminate them at the end of the game as well. But by far the worst are the ones that are boosting because they're just taking the money back from people. Like they're literally just taking the money back from people and then reselling it. Like that's what I'm saying. You've got to nip it in the butt. Stop the cycle. This is just the last 2 weeks, and this is what our efforts look like very regularly, week in and week out. It's an enormous effort, and it's. I wish you guys talk about like this is an enormous effort when, from our point of view, you're not making any effort. Okay, it's not enormous at all. It's zilch. Like we want to see in-game GMs again. Show us that you're actually doing something. Bring on some people from the community that we trust, that we know that would be like, okay, yeah, this is actually what we're doing. And you know what? Here's a crazy idea. Make videos showing that this is what we're doing, and these are the list of all the accounts that we're like. Bring on some people that we actually trust. Let's see. It's an enormous effort, and it's many, many individuals' full-time jobs to do this. No, you need like 10 people like to just sit there and ban people all day long. This is an issue of sheer staggering scale. We have the tools, and those tools are effective. You haven't been effective at all. But the malicious actors come right back with new and different methods every time. All that being said, we need to post these things more, and you definitely do. You need to post some sort of proof, which you're not going to do. And that's something that our team wants to be able to surface more often. Thank you for reading, and thank you for your feedback. Okay, there's 114 responses already. Just a quick glance. Nothing like telling your players that the WoW Token Classic is a benefit to them instead of just saying you want to milk them for your money. Nassim, spot on. Okay? What a load of crap. You don't care about... stop trying to act like you care. We will never completely be bots. We've tried nothing and we're out of ideas. Exactly. Like, look at this. It's point for point people saying that this is... Like, you guys aren't doing anything. And no matter how angry we get, what pisses us off even more is you see how angry the community is. The right response would be to say, okay, you know what? We're going to take it out. We're going to take it out. It was a mistake. You're right. But the problem is you won't do that, which angers us even more. Like, I will not buy Diablo 4. The first Diablo I will not have played. I won't buy games from Blizzard anymore. I will never, ever buy a Blizzard expansion anymore. Ever buy a Blizzard expansion again. Because I'm tired of this garbage. Absolutely tired of this garbage. Until I see some actual, like, plan to actually do something. And again, my point of actually hiring people that the community could trust to actually do what the community is asking you to do. Until that happens, I'm sorry. I take this with a very small grain of salt. You're full of crap. I don't believe you. I hate you, Blizzard. I can't stand what you've done to this game. People begged you for Classic. People begged you for no changes. And you come around and you slap us in the face with this. Anyways, that's the end of my video, guys. I kind of just did this in one take. I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to throw it up on YouTube. You tell me what you think in the comments down below. Come join me on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Alodar, or I stream on YouTube as well at the same time. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about this, but it's going to be a bit of a rant. So anyways, the rest of you, Classic community, I don't know what to say here. I'm honestly hoping for a return to private servers because I'm tired of Blizzard screwing people over. And we'll leave it at that. Take care, guys.